Condemned Theologian, the keynote Dissident Priests Assembly.
I have here a flyer from the Association of U.S. Catholic Priests. On the inside of this flyer, it says, "Take part in helping to renew the church for our time."
And for whatever reason, this association really likes to play with heterodox ideas.
All of this false understanding is viewed in the lens of the Second Vatican Council as a revolution, a change of everything from the past up to the 1960s, and they see that we have to build a scaffolding around the church, and then once we have that, we'll pull down the old church and we'll only have the new. Praying in reparation for the sacrilege that's being committed by these priests. If they face their final judgment doing what they're doing at that assembly, it's not going to end well for them.
By the way, my name is Joe McLean. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below. We're having a conversation with Michael Hitchborn, though, from Lepanto Institute. LepantoIN.org is the website. Condemned Theologian, the keynote Dissident Priests Assembly. This is happening next week between June 23rd and 26th in San Antonio. Michael Hitchborn, welcome back to the team. Tell me about what you have planned.
Well, so each day of the AUSCP's conference so let me back up. The conference is the assembly. The AUSCP's assembly is June 23rd through the 26th. I will be there on the 23rd and 24th outside the Drury Hotel on the Riverwalk from noon to 3. And we're going to be praying the rosary. Just a bunch of us out there praying the rosary and praying in reparation for the heresy, praying in reparation for the sacrilege that's being committed by these priests, and also ultimately praying for their conversion, because you know, at their advanced age, I can't imagine that they have too many heartbeats left before they face their final judgment. And if they face their final judgment doing what they're doing at that assembly, it's not going to end well for them. So we are definitely going to be praying for them and for an end to the heresy that they're propagating. On the 25th, because Archbishop Sier is going to be hosting them at the cathedral for Mass, we're going to be outside the cathedral from 3:30 to 4:30 praying the rosary in reparation for the sacrilege and the heresy and everything else. So I hope people will join us. I really do look forward to seeing as many of my friends out there in Texas as we can get. By the way, on Wednesday evening, the 25th, we're going to be at the Sanctus Ranch, and I understand you're going to be joining us.
I am, praise be to God.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about the AUSCP. It'll be a formal, informal kind of get-together. So we'll have refreshments, we'll have a few drinks, maybe some cigars, but we'll also, I'll be presenting on the AUSCP. I'll be talking exactly about why they pose such an imminent threat to the faith, especially in the United States. You'll be there. Jesse Romero, unfortunately, won't be able to be there in person, but he is going to be remoted in, and he'll give a few words to our friends as well. So.
Yeah, I plan to come for the Rosary Rally out in front of the cathedral, the San Fernando Cathedral, and then, of course, for the conference and the gathering at the Sanctus Ranch after. So anybody who's in the Hill Country, San Antonio, South Central, Houston, you know, anywhere in Texas, really, it's going to be worth the drive to come down and be a part of this, to be a prayerful witness out in front of this group, praying for them, praying for their conversion. This is not about hate or animosity. This is about prayer. And this is about planting a seed in their hearts. And then, of course, gathering after, giving us an opportunity to sort of discuss that and then you know, present, as Michael Hitchborn said, make some presentations, but also fellowship, too, in the effort to stand up for what is good, true, and beautiful in a world that seems to want to embrace such errors, which are incredibly harmful to their souls and all of the souls that are in their care. Why do they love? That's my first question. Why do they love playing with heretical fire? It's like they can't get enough of it. Like it just mesmerizes. It's spellbinding, I suppose. I don't know. There's something about playing with fire, the rebelliousness of their nature that just I scratch my head. I don't understand.
It's perplexing when if you understand what the church teaches in context with everything the church has always taught. Yeah, you would understand that playing with fire. In fact, Sier 12 says, "Who pities a snake charmer or someone who goes near wild beasts?" You know what happens to those who do those things, and you wonder, well, who pities those people? Well, when you have these people playing with heretical fire, who's going to pity them when they actually, slip and fall? But you asked the question. I want to try and answer it as well as I can. I have here a flyer from the Association of U.S. Catholic Priests, and on the inside of this flyer, it says, "Take part in helping to renew the church for our time." Now, just the way this is laid out will explain everything. It says, "Theologian Herman Pottmeyer views our Vatican II era as an unfinished building site similar to the building of the new St. Peter's Basilica during the 1500s. And they say this: "Construction began with the laying of a foundation and erection of pillars and walls around the old Basilica of Constantine. That prepared the way for roof and dome to complete the new outer structure. That took decades. Meanwhile, the old church stayed in place, conditioning the progress of the new. Once the external structure was completed, the old basilica was removed." Similarly, Pottmeyer sees Vatican II as designing a new church to develop around the existing one. The councils, and then it goes on to explain how the councils work on doing this, and then it goes through a bunch of other twisted history. And it says, "We all need to be involved. We all," and all is in caps, "need to work together with our leadership to accomplish the Spirit's mission of building up the church for our time, the people of God. AUSCP was created to help us do that." So what you have here is a false understanding of what the church has been doing, how the church acts, what the church is supposed to do or what it's supposed to look like, what its structure is supposed to look like. All of this false understanding is viewed in the lens of the Second Vatican Council as a revolution, a change of everything from the past up to the 1960s, and they see that we have to build a scaffolding around the church, and then once we have that, we'll pull down the old church and we'll only have the new. That's their vision, and that's why they keep playing with heretical fire.
Why? I know we haven't gotten into the details about this organization and this speaker that they've got coming. I want to do that in a moment, but I'm still just trying to philosophically understand this. Why bother belonging to a church you hate and don't agree with? Why not just do your own thing?
It's interesting when you look at the history of the heretical infiltration of the church with the Protestant Revolution of the 1500s. You had these theologians that decided that they were going to change what the church taught, and they sparked their own churches. They were excommunicated by the Catholic Church, and they started their own stuff. Well, the modernists arose and in the late 1800s, and when they started to become more dominant, more prominent in the church, there was a quick clampdown from Pope Pius X, who wrote Pascendi Dominici Gregis, and with that document suppressed and condemned the modernists. He created the Oath of Fidelity and the Oath Against Modernism, and with that oath, the modernists decided, you know what, we're not going to actually leave. We're just going to go underground, and we'll quietly work on changing things. So their whole philosophy is one of change. They want to see a church that changes, a dynamic that changes, an ideology that changes. If you read Pascendi, Pope Pius X lays it out, and he says they believe in the evolution of doctrine, and that doctrine can quietly evolve to something new or something greater, which you can't get something greater than what we have. So it's a form of apostasy.
Yeah, it's a rebellion that's vicious, I would argue. in nature. They're not just leaving, they're staying to infect and to destroy, to tear down. It's envious, right? It's envious. If I can't have it, then no one can. It's kind of that idea. Hey, so let's get into the specifics of the association themselves, the Association of U.S. Catholic Priests. How many priests across the country do they represent?
They boast a membership of about 1,500. Most of these guys, whenever I see them at their annual assemblies, I mean, there's not a dark hair among them. They're all white-haired. The last vestiges of the 1970s call to action conference. But, you know, here on the back of the flyer, I'll just tell you what they say that their hope is. They say AUSCP is a prophetic community seeking needs and voicing them in a constructive and collaborative way, working patiently and persistently to address such needs as revised translation of our Roman Missal, a revision of the revision of the revision.
Right, yeah.
Collegiality and consensus, decision-making, i.e. synodality. That goes back to 2013. Now, this organization was founded in 2011. So in 2013, they were already talking about synodality before it became a big, commonly held term amongst the rest of us. They say that they want consideration of married men for ordination to the priesthood, consideration of ordaining women to the diaconate.
Yeah, they're on the team.
Yep. And then they go on to Laudato Si, ending the death penalty, healing clericalism and racism. But, you know, every time I go to their conferences, you see rainbow pins all over the place. 1 year I saw Catholics for same-sex marriage. They regularly question things like Humani Vitae. So it's... these guys, they don't really believe what the church teaches. They want to change what the church teaches, and they would love to see women ordained to the diaconate as a stepping stone to women being ordained to the priesthood.
They want it all, don't they? So, all right. Yep. Okay, clearly they're not hiding what they actually believe and embrace. It seems to be out in the open. Then what does that say about a bishop who allows them to meet in his diocese?
It not just allows them to meet, but Bishop John Stowe is a member. Archbishop John Wester is the Episcopal administrator moderator for the AUSCP, which means he's effectively the USCCB's liaison to them. And they have presented and they've hosted actually as speakers Archbishop Wilton Gregory, Cardinal Supich. Well, yeah, he was Archbishop then, he's Cardinal now. Cardinal Supich, Archbishop Hartmeyer. You've got Bishop Robert Carlson, Archbishop Robert Carlson spoke at the AUSCP. Cardinal McElroy is a regular attendee. I've seen him at several AUSCP conferences.
Wow.
Yeah. Currently, they're going down to San Antonio, your neck of the woods, and Archbishop Siller is going to be saying Mass for them. And I assume, and, you know, it's probably not a bold assumption that I'll probably see his face among the halls as they are presenting and that sort of thing as well. So,
yeah, you know, it's interesting. I've been disinvited to events in San Antonio. Apparently my kind aren't allowed, but this kind is. Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
I find that very, very fascinating that this kind is allowed there, and you get warm welcome and support. And I want to get into this condemned theologian that you talk about in the article. We're going to link to it, lepantoin.org, but we're going to link to it in the show notes as well. Tell me about who this speaker is.
So the speaker, he's keynoting at the AUSCP's annual assembly. By the way, the theme of the annual assembly this year is sex and spirituality, pastoral considerations. So you can guess what that's going to be all about.
Of course it is.
This guy, his name is Todd Salzman, and he's got a BA in philosophy and theology from the University of San Diego. He's written several books. He co-authored a couple of books. Anyway, he co-authored this one book called The Sexual Person Toward a Renewed Catholic Anthropology. And he co-authored it with a guy named Dr. Michael Lawler, who is a professor at Creighton University, where Salzman also teaches. And this book is so full of heretical notions that even the USCCB condemned it.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's pretty egregious and pretty bold for the AUSCP to invite this guy to speak, and even more bold for Archbishop Sier to allow this to take place within his diocese, to host them at the cathedral where he's going to be saying Mass for them, when his own brother bishops said, you know what, this guy is bad news, and they outright condemned his book.
Yeah, let that sink in. Bishop Joseph Strickland can't go and say Masses in churches all across the country, even though he's a bishop in good standing. He's in good standing. He's still not allowed in many churches to say Masses. But this guy can come to San Antonio and give a talk about the pastoral approaches to how to subvert church's teaching on sexual morality and ethics. It just represents such a dying effort. This post-Vatican II effort of rebellion seems to be waning. Do you think that's fair to say, Michael Hitchborn?
I do. That's actually one of the reasons why, and somebody pointed this out to me recently, they have a call out to anybody, whether it's in the diocese, whatever diocese it is, to inquire if you know of any newly ordained priests this spring. Please let them know the AUSCP will offer them a free 1-year membership to the organization. So they're offering free 1-year memberships to newly ordained priests, which is sick. It's absolutely sick, but they are they recognize the fact that they're old, aging, and dying, and that they need to be replaced, and they're trying to do so with a new, fresh generation of young priests. And again, given the rainbow pins that I see them wearing almost regularly at these meetings, I can only assume what that means. So,
do you think that there should be some sort of censure at the USCCB level, even for like Archbishop Garcia Sier, because he's allowing a condemned theologian to speak in his diocese? You know, I used to run conferences in that diocese. I would have people like Father Mitch Pacwa, for instance. They would not allow me to let Father Pacwa on the stage until I got his letter of approval from his superior. They were like, I remember having to rush it over from the airport to them because they wouldn't allow it. That's how strict they were under Garcia Sier for people like Pacwa or Jesse Romero or a bunch of other people that I used to work with when I used to run those conferences. But they're going to let a condemned theologian give a talk in his own diocese. Do you think there should be some sort of censure at the USCCB level for that?
1,000%. Let me read to you what the USCCB said about Salzman and his book, The Sexual Person. So this comes from 2010. The statement was issued by the USCCB's Committee on Doctrine, which is pretty serious. They said this: neither the methodology of the sexual person nor the conclusions that depart from authoritative church teaching constitute authentic expressions of Catholic theology. Moreover, such conclusions, clearly in contradiction to the authentic teaching of the church, cannot provide a true norm for moral action and, in fact, are harmful to one's moral and spiritual life. That is about as strong a statement as I have ever seen coming from the USCCB, short of calling someone a heretic. You can't really have a stronger condemnation without actually saying this guy is a heretic and he's no longer part of the church. So for the USCCB to say this, Archbishop Sier's allowing him to speak shows that he is going directly against the USCCB, because the USCCB has issued this statement.
Man, I can tell you, remember Father Carapi? When Father Carapi, when his case blew up and he fell out of favor and grace, that is when all these dioceses began to require the letters of good standing and all that for Catholic speakers, and they started to block and forbid a lot of these speakers from speaking in their dioceses. And then they started using that to their advantage, just block the ones they didn't like. Whether or not they had good theology didn't matter. Just we didn't like these, so they're not allowed to talk. But these other ones, like this is how Jimmy Martin was able to travel the whole country, because we were playing politics fast and loose with these rules. And this is a clear, shining example of that. So it's an injustice, as we said earlier. So give me one more time before I run out of time on the radio side. Give me the dates, give me the times when you're going to be out in front, either at the hotel or the cathedral. Give me the dates. We're down to 60 seconds.
All right, so June 23rd and 24th, we will be by the Drury Hotel on the Riverwalk, holding signs and praying the rosary from noon till 3 o'clock. And then on the 25th, we will be outside the San Fernando Cathedral, holding signs, praying the rosary from 3:30 until 4:30. And then that evening, June the 25th, we will be at the Sanctus Ranch with you, with Jesse Romero. We'll be giving all sorts of presentations on what's going on in the world and in the church, and there will be refreshments to go along with that. So please join us.
I'm going on the 25th, 3:30 out in front of San Fernando Cathedral. If you are anywhere near there, please join me. Please join Michael Hitchborn and everybody else. 3:30 San Fernando Cathedral downtown. I'm going. I want you to go too. God love you. Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.